Hey folks, how is everybody doing? If you're logged in, please don't creep. Say hello, say your name, where you're from, if you've got one of those usernames that are hard to distinguish. All right. Well, today's live, hi Julia, oh, and Anya, sore throat. Hopefully that's all there is to it. I hope so too. I hope everyone who's joining is at home. And I hope that you guys are all healthy right now, at least. I have a few friends of mine that have gotten sick, unfortunately, that have COVID. I have a couple of friends of mine who are also nurses who are on the front line and who are working in the hospitals, and they have been really overwhelmed. I have some friends who, were at home with their partner who just found out that they're sick now and they're not sure what to do. So it's kind of a tricky time. Yeah, it's a bizarre time actually. And I need a sore throat. Hi Gormac. Hi Julia again. And Yako, Javi's brother. Which Javi? I don't know which one. Which Javi's brother you are. So yeah, so this is an interesting time. I wanted to do my live the way I used to do my live Q&As before, which were all about kind of addressing a certain topic. So I still want to go ahead and do that with you guys today, but I do want to also do some Q&As because I know maybe some of you have questions, about how you want to be spending your time, or what it's like to be an artist, or if you yourself are an artist and you're wondering how to approach this situation. Maybe I can be of some assistance, maybe I can provide some guidance, and maybe just the question that you pose to me helps me think about things a different way as well. So I think the live Q&As are always excellent for that, because there's a good interaction that takes place. And I feel like if you're paying attention and you're participating, then you're definitely learning something and growing through that. And then, by the way, you look lovely. Well, I did try. I was, every morning I've been doing this 10 a.m. fitness session. Some of you guys might have been participating with me. And if you've been participating with me, I just kind of look like a train wreck by the end of it. Oftentimes I look like a hot mess even before, but I really didn't put any effort into getting ready to sweat, which is, I've kind of gotten used to that. So now that we're doing this live, I thought I would put a little effort for you guys and do my hair and put on a nice shirt versus my tanks and t-shirts that I've been wearing. Cabrera, Javi Cabrera. I'm lost. Hi, Ahmed, Egypt in the house. Oh, Andrew. Oh, Willie. Oh, I'm so sorry. You said Javi, and then I couldn't put it together. Andrew's dad. Cabrera, I know. Hello, Daddy. All right, so I thought I would go right into the topic that I did want to discuss with you guys, and you are welcome to ask any other questions as well. The reason this topic came up was because I had posted a video on YouTube, and the video was something about being happy when you dance. Someone had asked me in one of my quarantine fitness sessions, how do you, or which partner do you feel the happiest dancing with? And that was an interesting question. And my first thought ran to the people who I have danced with, actual names of people. And then I realized that actually it doesn't really matter who I dance with, because I love dancing. And so I can find joy in the act of dancing itself. And so that was my answer to him. And I thought that might be useful to other people as well. So I took that snippet out of the quarantine fitness and then through that online. Now, somebody had commented and talked about, yes, so they usually have fun when they dance, but on occasion, they have these odd dances. And this person specified someone with whom he had a dance with, relatively famous salsera, we don't know who, and that she was too busy doing her own thing and not engaging with him. And that's fine as well. But then there was an additional part of that comment, which was, well, it says a lot more about her than it does about me. And I found that really interesting because I was curious, what does it say about her, right? And so I posed this question to you guys. I'm just going to show you the post that I had shared. You guys can think about this question. Read this really quickly. I'm still here. I'm still over here. Read this really quickly and think about it and think about your answer to this. And I'm going to go through what I've been hearing about it as well as what I think about it personally. So you're in a partner dance. You feel your partner prefers to do his or her own thing rather than engage with you. What does this say about your partner? And I've appeared again. So when I read this comment, my initial thought was, all right, are they thinking bad of this partner just because they're not engaged? And then I thought about how I think about people when they're not engaged with me. And there are times that, yeah, I used to really project. I used to judge my partner if they were not engaged with me because I thought that they were being arrogant or narcissistic or showing off or big-headed and all of these things. And yes, sometimes that is the case. It's not to say that that's not the case. However, it's not fair. There are a couple of components of this. It's not fair to assume that that's the case, because then what you're also saying is you're assuming you know their intention. And that's very different from making a statement of their actions, right? So we could see someone who is doing their own thing, right? Let's say we're dancing and someone's doing their own thing and they happen to be not paying attention to their partner. So someone would say, oh, they're just focused on themselves and they don't care about their partner. But that's projecting. That's saying that that person's intention is to actively disregard their partner, which I don't think is always the case. Maybe that person is focused on hitting the music, focused on a certain level of self-expression. And the consequence of that happens to be that their partner ends up being ignored a little bit. I mean, I'm not sure how you guys see that, because some of you in your comments did say, well, you don't know what the person's actually thinking. You don't know why they are expressing themselves in that way. And another friend who I was speaking with, who's a good dancer, I have fun dancing with him, but every time I've danced with him, I mean, and it's getting better now, but when I first danced with him, like, his personality is very confident. His personality in life is very confident, and he's social and he's extroverted. But when we danced, he wasn't actually as comfortable in the dance. And so his tendency was to go through the moves that he had known, that he learned, that he felt comfortable with, make sure he doesn't mess those up, and just go through all the patterns with me. And if I was not aware of who he is as a person, I would have looked at our dances and thought, wow, this guy's so self-absorbed, because he just kept looking at himself, like looking down, doing his shimmies. He had this expression on his face. I guess that was his thinking expression. But he really never made any contact with me. And I learned later, it's not because he didn't want to engage with me. It's not because he was trying to actively ignore me. It's because he didn't feel comfortable. He was still working on himself. And as a result, that ended up meaning that he could not also work on me. Right. And this is, I guess, the thing that I really wanted to talk about with this whole, this particular aspect of what does it say about your partner? I've also been in that position where I've been judgmental, where I look at a person who dances a certain way and says, oh, you know what, they're clearly this. But that's presumptuous of me, and I think it's presumptuous of anyone who's projecting that onto somebody else. Um, while you guys are listening, by the way, if you do have any comments related to this, if you have a specific experience that you might want to share, you can actually engage with me online. I can bring you on into this live. So just let me know if you have a story you want to share, a story you want to share, and I'll bring you on. But yeah, so that's one aspect of it. I was also thinking about just personal expression. For example, I know people who were dancing for a long time, who would go out all the time and very expressive when they were on the dance floor, and they used to have a lot of fun. Then something happened in their lives where they ended up moving away from that and ended up in kind of not oppressive relationships, but very restricting relationships where their partner had a problem with them expressing themselves in this way. Those relationships lasted probably longer than they should have and left an impact. And then getting out of that relationship, this person found a new freedom, and dance gave this opportunity to just express themselves. And the partner that they're dancing with would say, "Oh yeah, she never looks at me. She's just doing her own thing, and she looks like she's having a lot of fun. It's not even like an arrogant type of expression. It's fun expression, but it's clearly on her own." And in this case, I don't think it says anything bad about that person being disregarding their partner, but rather that they're actually in this position that they finally have some freedom to express themselves. So I think that's another aspect of self-expression that we need to take into account. The other element of it is communication. So, when we're dancing with somebody, if I'm dancing with a partner and I am going off doing my own thing, and I look at my partner and my partner has this aura of confidence, this facial expression of confidence, they're doing just some basic steps, but they're doing it like, yeah, you do your own thing and I'm going to do this, and this is exactly what I want to do. Then I'm going to assume that you're okay with me playing around. I'm not going to think that I'm outshining you or that I'm making you feel uncomfortable, because when I look at you and I make eye contact with you, you give me the everything's a-okay. I'm going to take your word for it, or your nonverbal, word for it. And I'm not going to baby you. I'm going to assume that when you speak to me, when you communicate with me, that you're communicating honestly. And so I'm going to continue to enjoy myself, assuming, based on what you've just told me, when we've looked into each other's eyes, that you're okay, that you're comfortable. And I don't think a lot of people communicate that. There are a lot of people who want to put on an impression of, yeah, I got this. I'm not a beginner. I know a lot of moves. I know these moves really well. But really, you feel uncomfortable. And if you do feel uncomfortable, then there are ways that you can communicate that to your partner without feeling like you're less of a dancer. For example, when I've danced with people, there are some people who I've danced with who don't smile that often, and I would love that they smile with me. And I verbally communicate that with them. I'm like, oh, you have a really nice smile when you're standing around, but it's not here when we're dancing. And then they'll laugh about it, and then they'll end up smiling. If I feel like they're tense, if they're communicating some kind of tension, I try and break that. And usually they respond. But sometimes they stay that way. And then I'm like, all right, well, that's I guess your personality that you want to put out on the dance floor. And to each his own. I'm not going to force you to be anyone or do anything that you don't feel comfortable with. And Anya just brought up something. She said, it's really interesting that the frame of salsa means that the dance is set up for us to look at each other's face and communicate with our eyes and our smile. This is so different from tango, kizomba, etc., but maybe similar to West Coast swing. That's a really good point. Like our dance is set up in a way that we have plenty of opportunities to communicate, not just non-verbally, but also verbally. And I think if we took those opportunities, we would probably have better dances. And we would probably have less judgment and less misplaced expectations of our dance partners. Because, like I was saying about the level of skill that you have, or what you actually know, I've danced in New York. New York has been, salsa's been here for decades, and there are some old timers who don't know all the crazy, patterns and shines that we do today, but they got flavor. And you dance with one of those people, and they will break out, and they might just be doing a little shuffle step and a side step, side basic, nothing crazy. They're not doing heel kick toes and a flip and a pirouette or anything like that. They're doing some simple things. And if you looked at them, you can't assume that it's based on their level of skill, or based on what they know. You can't say, oh, well, since they're doing basics, I should tone everything down. No, they're actually feeling quite confident in that moment. And so for me to actually sit there and tone everything down for them, assuming that they're uncomfortable, would be wrong, would be incorrect on my part. So we read a lot from each other's faces, and it's important for us to pay attention to our partners and to try and take in as much information as possible. But from our partners, if we are on the giving end of that information, it's also important for us to be honest with that, right? If you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to show that you're uncomfortable. I can't adapt to somebody who is giving me the impression that they're a-okay. And I think there are a couple of comments I'm going to get to, but I think this applies to life as well. There's sometimes that we want something from someone, or we would like something from somebody. But when that person asks us, and let's say it's help or assistance of some sort, when someone asks us, hey, how are you doing? If we are like, yeah, I'm totally fine, everything's cool, all is good, life couldn't be better, do you think that that person is going to continue to ask us and say, are you sure? Do you need help? No, of course not. Because we are giving off this impression, we're projecting this aura of everything's good. I don't need you to do anything differently than what you're doing right now. If we really want help, then we have to also be willing to be vulnerable. We have to be willing to display that vulnerability in some way or another that allows someone to read that and then communicate with it. And so as dance partners, it's the same thing. I feel like that the person that wrote that comment in my video might have been talking about me, but when I'm dancing and I'm doing my own thing, I'm always focused on my partner. My going crazy is not to show you up. My going crazy is to invite you to be crazy with me. So if you give me a facial expression that's like, yeah, I'm cool, but really you think I'm overdoing it, I'm not going to read that moment in the same way, because you have communicated something very different to me in your facial expression and in your body language. Geriminas wrote something here as well. As a leader, I struggle to make connection for all kinds of reasons. I like the song too much. I'm fazed too much by something that just happened before the dance. The environment is distracting. I don't like my partner, or I like my partner too much, anything. Yeah, there are lots of reasons that we get distracted, and I think it's up to us to make an effort to reconnect with our partners. But the only way that's going to happen is through an honest connection. And that requires honest connection on the part of, what you're feeling, whether you're uncomfortable, whether you're happy, whether, you're nervous, as well as the other partner being observant and actually paying attention and trying to take in those cues and then reacting accordingly. Ananya asks, this is so hard for your partner. How would you try and overcome that tendency? Oh crap, I don't know what I said that you commented that on. I don't know if you're referring to the aspect of just expressing yourself. See, sometimes I kind of wish that I had live interaction. I like when the quarantine fitness and I have somebody there who I ask, how you doing? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Oh no, it's not me. Okay. So yeah, any other questions regarding this particular aspect? The reason I'm bringing this up and the reason, oh, because that was so hard to. So her comment was referring to Gediminas as a leader. How would you try to overcome that tendency? Actually, that's a great question. So Gediminas, I'm just going to put your comment back up here. So as a leader, he struggles to make a connection for all kinds of reasons. Liking the song, fazed by something happening before the dance. And Ananya was asking regarding this, how would you try and overcome that tendency? So Gediminas, maybe if you have an answer for that, that would be really useful. I know for myself, it's also stages of our dance, right? So when we start dancing, we are focused initially. First, I mean, I think first we come out kicking and enjoying ourselves, right? That's at least what I did. I started off dancing and I was like, yeah, I love this. I don't care that I don't know anything. I like the music. Oh, I have a partner. Oh, he looks troubled. Who cares? I'm having fun, right? Then you realize that it's not it's not as easy to continue to have fun and for your partners to want to dance with you if you don't actually develop some skills. So then you start working on those skills. And now your focus goes from just having fun to, okay, I need to learn, I need to get good, I need to get really good at this. And then you're out there and you're still, depending on who you dance with, they might think that you are not interested or you're not engaged. But in fact, your focus on what you're trying to do is actually for the ultimate purpose of enjoying it with your partner. So it's kind of like this catch-22, that sometimes ends up happening. So that's one element. And then eventually, once you get good at that, then you can start to use what you've learned to actually engage and interact with another partner. But that takes time, and that is a process that's always being developed. Gediminas replied to you, Ananya. He says, I just try my best and improve over the years. It's a struggle and it's a process. Just as I said, it is a struggle and it's a process. But the best way is by, one, accepting where you are, what you're focusing on, and two, communicating honestly. I can't stress that part enough. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, is because I think there's a lot of judgment out there, unfortunately, in this dance scene. And I'm not going to pretend I'm some kind of saint and I haven't judged people. I have in the past. I probably still will, because it's very natural for us to just be like, I don't know about what this person, oh, I don't like what I feel, and there's a difference between what someone's doing, what their intention is, and how I feel based on what I'm observing. And sometimes we need to make that disconnect so that we can save our sanity, save our emotions, and also save someone else's reputation. Because a lot of times when we have these moments where we are projecting our feelings onto someone else's character, we're damaging their character, because then we might go and sit there and talk to somebody else. Oh yeah, that person's a total, she's this or she's that, or he's so arrogant, and then other people start to think that, and they haven't even had that experience with that person. They haven't even met that person, and now they think a certain way about that person. So especially when it comes to something negative, I think it's important for us to take a moment and check ourselves and decide whether we are observing something that's really factual, or whether we're just projecting our emotions onto someone else and then making a judgment on their character. Ananya mentioned, that is so interesting. So basically, as we move deeper and deeper into partner dance, we change our very understanding of fun. Yeah, to a degree, like for me now, I'll just explain to you guys where I've gone through my journey, right? So again, when I first started, I didn't know crap. I knew like 5 moves or something, and I was happy with those moves. And I went out and danced. Then I realized I was having fun, but I couldn't have fun with everybody. So I realized, okay, if I want to be able to have fun with all of these people that are here having fun with different people dancing, then I need to get better because I'm not good enough to dance with them the way they're dancing with other people. So then my focus was learning, and that eventually became fun. Yeah, initially it's stressful, right? You're like, oh, I'm frustrated with myself. But when you start to see the progress, when you realize, oh, before I wasn't able to follow a right turn, and now I can follow a double spin, right? So then you get more and more engaged in the learning process as well. But then sometimes that starts to distract from the interaction with the partner, because now you're so engaged in the learning process, you're like, well, if this feeling that I got after being able to do two spins, or when I couldn't even do a single, feels so good, then I should be learning and learning a lot more. And everything I learn, I want to be practicing, and then we forget about our partner. This happened to me when it came to leading and following, specifically following. I got very good at following. I really focused on trying to be an excellent follower, and I could pretty much follow anyone's lead. And then I plateaued. Then I stopped enjoying the dance because I was like, all right, well, been here, done that. How many crossbody leads am I going to get in a night, right? And it took me the revisiting the fact that it was a partner dance, going back to the fact that there is another human being in front of me. And whether that person is the same person that I've been dancing with every single night at these parties or once in a year, that person is different every single time, because you don't know what that person has gone through, just like they don't know what I've gone through. And every time I come back to that connection with that same individual, I'm also different. I'm different today than I was yesterday. I'm different now than I was an hour ago. And so when I started to focus on the personal aspect of the dance, the fact that we are individuals, then it was impossible to plateau. It was impossible to think I knew everything. It was impossible to say I've been here, done that. There's no way I have, because there are two aspects. The two people involved are different. And when I started to focus on dance in that way, I'll tell you, it changed everything. So for me now, I can have fun. Again, this is part of the other video. I'm happy with everyone. I can really find enjoyment in everything, because I try to ask what's different with this person in front of me. What's new? What have I never experienced with this person in front of me? What have I experienced? What do I like? What do I dislike? If I dislike it, how can I adapt to it? How can I not project that dislike? How can I overcome and transcend whatever negativity I might be feeling as a result of this person I'm dancing with, whether they're being intentionally negative or whether they don't even know? So. Ciao, Emmanuel. Elizabeth asks, how do you manage being a good follower when you do not feel safe with that person's lead? Excellent question. I made a video about communicating discomfort, and I think that is really important, especially when you don't feel safe. It's one thing to not enjoy someone's style of dancing, but it's another thing when you don't actually feel safe dancing with somebody. If you don't feel safe, I recommend verbally communicating with someone. There are times that I've danced with somebody who's a little strong, and I will actually tell them something about their lead. But the tricky part and the finesse here is that you don't direct it at them. You have to direct it at yourself. You have to speak to them about whatever you feel about them as a feeling about yourself. It cannot be a finger pointing, because as soon as it becomes finger pointing, then that person is possibly going to get defensive. And if they get defensive, they tend to get more tense. The more tense they get, the stronger they become. The stronger they become, the less safe that dance becomes for you. So usually if I'm dancing with someone who's too strong, I complain about an injury of my own. Right? If they're doing something that's like yanking my arm around, I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry to bring this up, but I just injured my shoulder last week, and it kind of hurts. Or if they're really grippy, I'd be like, oh, this finger's sprained. Could you, just to let you know, this finger is a little sprained. And most people don't, again, always go back to this. Most people don't want to hurt their partners, I hope not. Most people don't want to hurt their partners. And so if you communicate, not that there's a problem with them, but that you would feel better if they were mindful of something about you, they are usually mindful. They usually take greater care. I have never spoken to anyone in a dance and said, hey, I got injured. And they're like, oh, and? Right? Most of the time, they're, oh, I'm so sorry. Which hand? Okay, I can use this hand. They try to accommodate. They try to adapt the dance to make it more comfortable for me. So if you're ever dancing with a partner who does feel unsafe, I recommend verbally communicating with them so that you can get that out, right? And this is also another aspect of this is where you can judge somebody, right? Like you can tell them, hey, I'm feeling some pain. And if they roll their eyes and just continue to do the same thing, yeah, that's kind of a character trait where they don't care, or they're showing you they don't care, right? But if they're just being rough, I would never sit there and say, oh, this person doesn't care about their partner. I don't think they know. So the only way they're going to know is if I actually take the time to communicate something with them. And, the cringing faces helps, but it's not as direct as actually saying something and speaking out. So, Elizabeth, I would recommend actually just saying something if you're ever having a dance like that. And I hope that helps. There was something related to that that came to my mind and I just forgot it. It was something with regards to people. Oh, yes. Sorry. There's one more aspect of dancing with someone who might be rough, or dancing with someone with whom you feel unsafe. And I understand that this is not a one-way street, that it's only leads that can be like that. There are plenty of followers who I've danced with who I feel like are going to do a move and throw themselves into a back break and yank my arm out of my shoulder. So I understand that it's in both directions. But one other thing, and this is so unfortunate because this is April now, I would be offering this workshop in person in New York City as an interactive class on lead and follow techniques. One day we will be back there. But the comment I want to make is there is an element of communication where hopefully the person will adapt and try and take care of you better, your partner. But if they don't, whether that is intentional, where they're rolling their eyes and they don't care about you, or whether it's unintentional because they don't know how to adapt, right? They're not at that level of saying, oh, let me lighten my lead. They don't even know what a lighter lead or lighter follow feels like. So if it is unintentional or intentional, the better your fundamentals are as a lead and as a follow, the more control you have over the dance. I used to get thrown around in dances before. Now, almost never. And I don't care who I dance with. You could be twice my size, and I will find a way to ground myself and engage my muscles in a way that doesn't allow you to throw me around. In fact, there are guys that are like twice my size who I've been able to maneuver on the dance floor by using their momentum against them. So this is why I always stress it's so important for us to understand and really master our fundamentals. And our fundamentals are not something that we start off with and then we just go to level 1, level 3, level 10. Our fundamentals are something that we should start off with, go to level 1, level 2, come back and revisit our fundamentals, and then move to level 3. Because every level, every growth you have, every stage of growth that you experience will change your perception, will change your understanding of your basics. It's like language, right? The more words we know, all of a sudden we look at our grammar differently, right? It's not just the cat sits on a hat, but what kind of cat, right? So when we start to learn different things, we want to go back and revisit our fundamentals and see how we can explore them in more depth. Tony Gomes says, then I do my own things. Okay, Lolita's got a long comment here. Hi, Magna. As far as I have experienced, few people are able to connect with each other essentially because of their own limits or personal frustrations. I agree with that. To be able to smile to your partner, you have to be able to accept his or her smile, which means to understand that smile is there to make you comfortable. If you're not open to that reception, there won't be communication of such feelings, and the social dance will just be two isolated souls partnering. That is very beautifully put. And I agree with you that, yes, most of our connection, and that's not just dance, right? That's life in general. Most of our connection with other people is deepened or limited by our comfort with ourselves. So the more we know about ourselves, the more comfortable the more comfortable we feel with ourselves, the easier it becomes for us to express ourselves, and as a result, accept other people's expressions of themselves. But again, going back to the original purpose of this live Q&A, which was that, you know, what does this say about your partner? I think it's really important for us to try as hard as we can to not jump to judgment. Again, like I said before, I'm not a saint. I can't say that I'm not without guilt in that department. I've done that myself, you know, many times. And almost always I meet someone and I realize that they're not who I thought they were, you know, and it was unfair of me to judge them based on this one small interaction, right? And even, you know, and to extend this further, right? We don't know what that person has gone through in that day. So we don't know if they had lost their job or had a terrible fight with their significant other, or, you know, parents or something are ill or whatever, and they're coming out to dance just to let go, to release, you know, to find some sort of relief. But those things that they're preoccupied with will kick in, right? And you have a moment where you might communicate with that person and that person kind of snaps back. And it's not you, right? It's not actually directed at you. It's just an inability to contain and compartmentalize what they're feeling or experiencing or dealing with in the rest of their life. And as a result, it comes out to you. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's worth giving people second chances and third chances. You know, again, I'm coming at this older and more mature and wiser. You know, if you talked to me when I first started dancing, this would not be my advice. This is not my approach. I would probably be like, you know what, whatever, right? Like, that person can go to hell. I'm never gonna, ever, right? I don't approach things that way. And the most important part, again, is communication. If should it happen that you unintentionally or intentionally, because you are a different person in that moment, treat someone poorly, you always have an opportunity to go back and make amends. So don't take that lightly. Don't take that for granted. It's, again, when you make amends, if you apologize to somebody, it's not, and it should not come with an expectation of acceptance of your apology. It should just come as you trying to fix whatever mistake you have made, you know, whatever wrong you have caused, and that's it. And if that person accepts it, great. If they don't accept it, so be it. At least you did your part, you know? So yeah, in dance, I think dance is just another way we communicate, a very interesting way that we communicate, but it reflects all of the things that we do in life with the people that we interact with, whether they're colleagues, whether they're students, whether they're family, siblings, kids, significant others, etc. So the more aware we can be of ourselves in those interactions, the better those interactions end up being, because we can be more accepting of other people. And I think that's really important. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any other questions. I am trying this broadcast through a different platform, so it's kind of connected to my YouTube and my Facebook at the moment. If for whatever reason this is not coming through, I'm so sorry. A couple of announcements. 10 a.m. every day, I do a quarantine fitness. If you guys ever want to join in, you guys can join that on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram Live. And this Sunday, April 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be doing a free/donation-based class on Zoom. You can find the info on my website, magnagopal.com. to slash online courses, or you can find the flyer on my Instagram or on my Facebook. There's a link. You just have to go and sign up, and you should get an email. If you don't get an email with a confirmation of details, check your other folder, your all mail folder or your spam folder. It might sometimes get redirected there by accident. And then just save the email to your contact list, and then none of those emails will go there. If you don't get an email in any of your folders, please send me a message, and I will forward you all of the necessary details for the live class. Again, it is donation based, but you do not have to. It's just suggested. Again, this is kind of the way that we are trying to survive and make ends meet on our ends as instructors. But I accept and I understand that we are all struggling right now, and I don't want to put you in a place where you have to decide whether you can spend that hour or whatever with me, or whether you should save that money for something else. So for that reason, if you can make it, if you can donate, great. If you can't donate, no problem. Come and join the class. I'm sure you're going to learn something valuable that you can practice during quarantine. All right. I just wanted to say thank you again, guys. If you do love a second chance to you and I have a couple more comments. I apologize. I'm going to answer one more here. If you do have other questions, feel free to throw them in here. I usually do this for 30 minutes, but I almost always end up doing it for closer to an hour. Also, in the links, the description of this live on YouTube and on Facebook, you should see a link that is for feedback on the session. So if you enjoyed this session, I would really appreciate you guys taking a moment just to fill out that form. It should take like 5 minutes or less. And let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if there are other topics you'd like me to talk about. I didn't think of doing this for a while, but I realized that it's so important, even if we're not going out and dancing. I think it's good to have the right mindset about our interactions with others, because again, dance kind of overflows into everything else in life. So how we treat our partners on the dance floor is possibly how we treat other people in real life as well. So Dasha has a comment. I'd love a second chance with you. When you led me for the first time, I started feeling like I could not stay on my feet. I kept losing my balance for the first time in my life. Perhaps I was feeling intimidated. When I see you again, I would love to do contact improv with you. Love you as ever. Oh, thank you, Dasha. It's possible. Yeah. So, and it would be very awesome to hang out with you again, Dasha. It's been a long time, girl. For the people that have danced with me, with with my lead, I'm kind of unorthodox as a leader, mainly because I don't know a shit ton of patterns. So I kind of just play around with the frame and the follower's weight and the music. And so when I dance with people who are excellent dancers, Dasha's a lovely dancer. When I dance with other dancers who are not used to my style, I can feel sometimes there's a little bit of uncertainty of what's going to happen. And again, the stronger the basics, the stronger the fundamentals, the easier it becomes to play with everybody, regardless of what crazy stuff they do, because I do a lot of stuff, crazy stuff. All right, guys. Thank you, Ananya. Thank you, all of you, for participating. Ananya, Dasha, Lolita, Liz, and Gediminas, you guys had some great comments for today's live. I appreciate that. Again, it's your questions that help me think about things and help me come up with some answers or some solutions. So if you have anything that you want me to address, fill out the feedback form, leave it in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you guys. And please sign up for the class Sunday. I hope to see you guys there. And if you want the fitness, every day until we're out of quarantine, 10 a.m., I will be live on all my platforms, so you guys can join me for that as well. And that's it. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, if you haven't yet. And I will see you guys in the next live session. Have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay isolated, stay home. Bye, guys. Sorry, I got one more comment here, and I somehow did something with my live. I don't know what the hell I did just now. I think I got one more question. Getting minutes. Oh, not a question. My bad. I just want to say I'm a big fan that your workshop on musicality like 3 years ago changed my understanding of music and perception of social dancing, even though I phased out shortly after from salsa to bachata. Actually, I am very grateful and honored to call you my teacher. I am very grateful and honored to have you as a student, have had you as a student. That workshop was actually one of my favorite workshops to teach. It's a musicality theory class that I might actually, since I've got time now, I might try and record that and put that onto my online course platform. So thanks for bringing that up. And I'm glad that it still has an impact on you and that you still remember after so many years. So thank you guys. I am now officially logging off properly instead of just closing the window like I did last time. Have a fantastic weekend.